So before we go into all the detail, I just want to say thanks to everyone for coming. I know it's an effort, it's Monday morning, and for some people you've got to travel a fair way, so thanks. And thanks to the Steve's guys for giving us such a good hand. Yeah, appreciate it. Great venue. We're going to go over a few things. Purpose of the evening is primarily to provide the shareholders with an update on how we've gone over the last 6 months. But we'll take the opportunity to give everyone some announcements. We've got some announcements to share and go over what the plan is going forward. But before we get into all that, I just want to take a moment to iterate on what the vision of the business is and the mission, the direction that we're going in. And basically, it took a long time and a lot of pondering to come up with a vision statement that I thought suited. But basically, it's the future of the automotive industry, and we want to take everyone on that journey. Just like Apple was a disruptor in their industry, just like Tesla was a disruptor in their industry, that's what we want to be for the motorcycle industry. And so how are we going to do that? High-tech products, a good design, and something that's affordable. Performs well, looks good, people can buy it. Simple. So, how are we progressing? We finished the seed race to achieve 4 key things. That was compliance plan, a business plan, a prototype, and some form of a supply chain. Compliance plan side of things, we're working with a company in Melbourne who have actually provided us with a compliance plan and a budget and what we need to do to satisfy everything. So the next step for that is just to put it into a project plan for the next stage of the business. And it worked out that to get our compliance plan approval for one model, it was only like $15,000 just to outsource it all. So that's really positive. That one's virtually there. On the business plan side of things, we've had 2 advisory committee meetings. So the advisory committee, for those that don't know, is a collection of essentially personal mentors who generously donate their time to provide some advice and be a bit of a sounding board on what the plan is going forward. And now we have a bit of a plan for the next 18 months and 5 years, and we'll share that with you guys towards the end. Prototype, we'll go over the prototype progress in the next couple of slides. There's a couple of photos for everyone, but essentially it's all going pretty well. We're about 4 to 8 weeks behind of where we'd really like to be, but we still think we'll get a bike on the road by the October deadline. And supply chain. Supply chain's gone really well. So we've had 1 supply trip to Taiwan in April, and we probably will do another one September and maybe a trip to China as well. But as it stands at the moment, we have all the supplies we need for the subsystems of the vehicle in a scalable context as well. So not only for the prototype stage, but also for the next stage. But I'll go into all that in a bit more detail in a minute. So this is where it's at the moment. It's starting to look like a bike, which is good. The bodywork's almost there. The chassis is almost there. The powertrain's built and on the bench and just about running. We're programming the controller at the moment. And yeah, it's actually starting to look like a motorbike. It doesn't look too bad. Just need a rear seat on it now, and yeah. But that's all coming together. Yeah. This is just a slide to show you guys who our suppliers are at this stage. When we got to Taiwan, we tried to get all the suppliers we possibly could and quickly realised that was quite a complex thing to manage. 40 suppliers instead of 6. So we honed in on a few key ones, and now we're working with them and getting production quotes for all that for the next stage of the business, and they're going to help develop the production prototype in the next stage as well. So yeah, that's all coming along, and also geographically they're all located in Taiwan. So it's very easy just to go to one country, visit all the suppliers, and get what we need to done. So for the bodywork, we've got Exactitude, Yin Hong, a CNC machining factory that actually do motorbike parts, so they're doing a whole front end, and the wheels. Shui or Himi are a chassis, actually they're a motorbike chassis manufacturer that have full robotic welding facilities, and they're going to hand weld the first few frames for us as well. Valsh are a powertrain development company, so I've tried to colour code them through that legend. But they've, there's a bit of an announcement on them in a minute, so that's all pretty exciting. But yeah, just thought I'd share that with everyone. And budget-wise, how are we tracking? So the start of the year, we had $70,000 in the bank, and this is how we're progressing. At this stage, by the end of the year, and to achieve all those milestones, we'll still have about 36% left in the bank, which is pretty good. It's quite a big buffer. Now, there's a bit of a spike here, and that was what we're calling an R&D spend to get us over a $20,000 R&D tax claim threshold. And I'll go through what all that means in a minute, but it hasn't impacted anything. It's financially, we're pretty solid. So, announcements. The first announcement is that we're going to release or launch orders for a production prototype, which we're calling the Founder Edition, which will be like a unique spec vehicle. We'll aim to sell anywhere between 5 and 20 of these, and they'll serve a dual purpose. So they'll not only be a Founder Edition vehicle and entry into the market, but they'll also be our production prototypes, alpha and beta prototypes, to facilitate sorting out our production processes and supply chain and all that kind of stuff. And the other part of that announcement is that we're setting up a website that can automatically process pre-orders and all that kind of stuff. So that system should be up towards the end of August, and we've got maybe 3 or 4 people just waiting for us to launch that, to just put an order in, which is really good. But we're hoping to we'll probably cap it at 20. Perhaps over 20 we might not be able to manage that many alpha and beta prototypes, but about 10 or 15 would probably be the sweet spot. And then next year, or in the next stage, I should say, one of our advisors, Ben Ingram, is a Salesforce expert. He built a business that operated on Salesforce and all that kind of stuff. So he's helping us and guiding us through this whole process, which has been incredibly invaluable. The next announcement is we've actually gone ahead and purchased a CAD package. So up until this point, we were using borrowed CAD packages for people that would let us use a license when they weren't using it, or after hours and so forth. And that R&D spend spike that you saw in the financial thing was the purchase of this. Normally this costs about $17,000 for one license. They had an end of financial year sale. It cost us $9,000. It brought us up over that R&D tax claim. And it's also got all the production software tools that we need to set up those tools for the next stage as well. So we're working on that. This announcement is to do with the R&D tax claim and ESIC eligibility. So the reason why the R&D tax claim was so important for this stage was to obtain an ESIC eligibility status for the next stage, or the next financial year, because we plan on capital raising in the next financial year as well. And it's just a bit of a bonus for the investors that invest in that stage, should they be eligible. And if you've got any detailed questions on that side of things, Mark's the guy who's been very helpful with us so far, so thanks, Mark. So yeah, we should get our tax claim this year, and we should be ESIC eligible. Now this is a pretty exciting announcement. So as mentioned Valsh earlier today. Basically, we met them in Taiwan, we networked with them, we bounced a few ideas, and we've gone ahead and we've got an MOU with them to develop an ESA and SOW, an engineering service agreement and statement of work, or scope of work. And basically what they're doing is developing a production powertrain for us for the next stage. So this is scalable, it's production ready, it's comparable with the big players in the industry. And they've actually gone ahead and designed our motor for us already. So it's going to be liquid cooled. So this actually isn't transparent in the bike. It's going to be a cast aluminium enclosure. The first lots will be billet CNC machined. And the big advantage to having our custom motor designed and built is that we can have a few dynamic advantages for the vehicle in the next stage, like a concentric swing arm pivot, which is traditionally very difficult to do. So if we choose to go down this road and everything pans out with Valsh, and the budget that our projected budget still has a 10% contingency, is what we're showing by this slide here. So basically the high level arrangement with them is a small engineering service fee with a royalty of about, I think it's $100 for the first 1,000 vehicles sold and delivered to customers. So there's very little risk on our end. It's a low initial fee, and we get a full engineering powertrain developed. We do have to pay for manufacture, but we've budgeted for it. We've got the quotes from the suppliers and all that kind of stuff and factored it in, and that's how we think it's going to move forward. And the last announcement is that we've started building strategic partnerships or relationships with other suppliers as well. So MTM are a Melbourne-based manufacturer. They manufacture and assemble components. They did this for Ford, Holden when they were in business, and still do, and export over to the US for GM. And they also did the Tom car while they were still in business. So they have experience and infrastructure to assemble full vehicles. Vaush, obviously I've mentioned them already, and Shui, the motorcycle chassis manufacturer, they're now in the process of quoting what it would cost to, if we were to take our current chassis design for this first prototype into production, they're quoting on that, and we're going to use that as an indication for the next design. So basically the purpose of doing all this is scalability. Do we really need it all right now? No, but developing those relationships to scale further with the same people going forward will hopefully relieve some stress in the next stages of the business. Okay, so the plan. The next 18 months, achieve all those seed milestones that we said we were going to achieve at the start of the year, develop the production powertrain, get as far as we can with that. And then in 2019, develop our alpha, or build our alpha and beta production prototypes. We will need a cash injection from another capital raise at that point, which is why we went ahead with the ASIC eligibility plan. And then through that 2019 year, have a focus on marketing, take our fan base, through the process of what we're going through to get those production orders in. And then maybe another raise. We don't quite know at that point yet. We just have to see how the next 18 months pans out. But the intention is that we'll build and deliver those Founder Edition vehicles in 2019. 5 years away, so this is even more high level, and this is the intention at this point. But once our seed milestones are achieved and we've got our Founder Edition vehicles, we want to do our first production run of anywhere between 50 and say 200, depending on what the strategic partnerships ended up being. At that point, we might be able to scale for higher. It's just got to work out how we're going to manage it. And then 2021, normalise sales, normalise production, grow in Australia, and then start venturing into international waters and getting distributors in other countries, in other markets. And then 2022, deliver in international markets. So again, this is just the intention at this point. The plan might change. But that kind of made sense to us and the advisors. And that's pretty much it. Straightforward. So, cheers.